The following is a Hoop Ball presentation. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today show for July 11th, 2019. My name is Neil Rochlani, in for Dan Bespris every Thursday throughout the summer as he gets a little bit of a vacation. And speaking of summer, we're going to be talking about a little Summer League action today, talking a little bit about rookies, talking about maybe dynasty leagues. We'll see how much we get into that. But with all this conversation, I'm going to be joined by the one, the only Erik Ong, hoop ball writer extraordinaire. Erik, how are you today?
Hi, Neil. Thank you for having me back on the show. I'm excited to talk about fantasy basketball as usual. And yeah, we're in the heart of Summer League. I've been busy manning the blurb feed over at Hoop Ball. And we've got some great talent working the wire and checking out those Summer League post games.
Yeah, free agency has kind of died down. All the almost, I would say 90% of the fantasy relevancy is done from those free agency moves. It's hard to know exactly how they're going to pan out just yet. We'll have to see rotations, but all the speculation is done. All the pieces are basically in place. And now we're in, like you said, we're in the heart of Summer League. And before we started recording, you talked about you already did your first draft. That is amazing. I haven't done. I haven't even done a mock. I won't even look at mock drafts until September, probably, because that's when I think it starts to shake out a bit. But you did a dynasty draft, which we'll get into a little bit. First of all, what are your so Summer League? I'm not a big Summer League guy. I will overreact to performances. So I don't want to. I almost avoid it because I don't want to fall into that bias of like a guy has like a crazy night in Summer League, and all of a sudden Twitter is annoying him, future MVP. What have been your early observations?
Well, yeah, I've completed a dynasty draft over at Hoop Ball with some of our fans, listeners, and readers and whatnot. I'm playing in 3 dynasty leagues this year, and it keeps me alive, gets me through the off season, basically gives me some fantasy basketball to talk and think about while the rest of the world is, taking a break. And the rookie watch has been good. Summer League has been interesting. Of course, I've been taking these performances with a grain of salt, maybe more, because yes, like you, I agree. Sometimes Summer League performances can lead to a lot of hype, really. I mean, you see a guy, jumping over another guy, dunking on him, etc., and you go, "Oh, this guy's so great." But a few people, not everyone realizes that the guy he's dunking on is not a starter in a regular NBA team, and he's not. Odds are going to be able to do that in a regular NBA season game. So yeah, as good as these Summer League performances are, what they do provide, at least as far as I'm concerned, is does this guy have hustle? Does this guy active on defense? Is this guy have decent basketball IQ? Stuff like that. More of analyzing player characteristics and baseline talents and skills, as opposed to making it a benchmark of regular season performances, which obviously they shouldn't be.
Yeah, of course. It's even like the Summer League is like the preseason for rookies and second-year players. So, I mean, it's so hard to project any numbers from what you see on the court. For me, if I do watch any Summer League, as I was mentioning before we start recording, it's just really an eye test for me. Do I think this guy, do I think this player can be a starter in the NBA in year one or in this coming season. So that's all I'm trying to figure out. Can they be a high rotation player if not a starter? And can they get a lot of minutes? So let me start with so Zion Williamson. He hurt himself and then he left. Do you have any thoughts on, does this at all make you hesitant on drafting him this upcoming season?
No, not at all. I've reserved, booked, and bought extra tickets on the Zion hype train.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you think he's? Oh gosh, do you think he's going to be? Like, how do you even value him at this point?
Well, all right.
Yeah.
There's some real life player crushing going on here because in full disclosure, back in the day, I was a huge Charles Barkley fan. So from there, you can get the idea of why I'm enamored with Zion and his game. He's an undersized, overly chunky, powerful guy who's got a nice toolbox. He can do a lot of things. And as far as I was able to scout him coming into the NBA draft, I was looking at him as the next evolution of Charles Barkley. He can run the floor. He can overpower, bigger guys. And, his looks are deceiving because, he is kind of chunky. But the guy can jump. He can sky for those blocks, if he times it right. So the guy's been labeled as somebody who can be a potential stretch five in the modern NBA. And that's intriguing because, the era of 7-foot plodding dinosaurs is a thing of the past. And you need guys who can run the floor, rebound the ball, and shoot the three nowadays. You have to do it all if you're going to succeed in the league. And he can do that.
He's a beast. Yeah, unless they change the NBA rules or make the key more narrow. Yeah, the plodding 7-foot center that can't shoot from more than at the rim is basically going to be a dinosaur. And this guy is like, when I first saw the highlight reel, I remember Adrian Benjamin's last year sent me a highlight reel of Zion before I even knew who he was. And I immediately, like you, thought, this is Barkley for the modern era. It's crazy. He is amazing. But you have no worries about the injury risk. You're not at all. That is not going to discount his value for this coming season's fantasy relevancy for you.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
The one major injury he had in his days in the NCAA was a freak shoe accident, actually, when his shoe broke, right. And he slipped, etc. I mean, it's not that kind of a thing that you'd expect to happen again. The statistical probability of that happening again is astronomical. Unless he's wearing the exact same shoe and then fix it, right? So there.
Yeah, unless he's just way too overpowering for every shoe out there.
Maybe. Fat feet.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I didn't get to see him play. Did you take anything away from what you saw on the court? Was there anything new you learned about him? I don't think you probably could have, right, in that short time.
Well, I watched highlights, and there was this one. He only had a brief summer league game, right? And there was this one, he contested for a rebound, and in the process of grabbing the ball, the guy who was battling him for the ball was just like thrown to the ground like a rag doll. Shades of times when people were contesting Shaquille O'Neal for those rebounds. They did just fly into the photographers because Zion was just that strong. Yeah. And that was amazing. So, okay. Wow. And if you can run, aside from being that powerful, I mean, the guy's just a freak. Okay, we've established one thing, and that's undeniable. The guy is a freakish physical specimen. And that's not something that's up for debate. Now, the question is, if he can turn that physicality, that body of his, into something that will translate into fantasy goodness?
Yeah.
That's the question everyone's asking. Now, my concern is because he is such a freak and there is so much hype, I'm pretty sure he's going to get overdrafted. That's one thing, that's for sure.
Yep.
I probably will not be able to own him because of the hype. And we can talk about that a lot more now because you may have, I mean, you've been playing this game for a long time and you've seen a lot of people reach for rookies because of hype. And in the end, it's unfair, you know, you and I being more in tune to numbers of the fantasy game, you know, we're holding back because case in point, we do not have an actual or proper sample size to base our decision on data, you know, real NBA game data. And that's normally the basis of what we're, you know, what we use for ranking players, right? So I don't think I wouldn't pick him in the first top 20. That's for sure. But he might. There are some people out there who might actually draft Zion that high. I think he has a nice upside as far as a career outlook is concerned. But from a rookie year perspective, and if we're talking about redraft fantasy here, he might not be a top 20 guy from the get-go. I mean, if you look at it, the Pelicans have a nice young core. I really am happy with what they got out of the Anthony Davis trade. They've got so many young pieces, so many intriguing players, great rookies. Aside from Zion, they got Jackson Hayes, they got Alexander Walker. Both of those, they got Lonzo Ball as part of that deal. That's great haul. And the way I see things, maybe 5 years from now, we might be looking at a Hawks-Pelicans NBA rivalry for championships.
That would be a big reversal of fortune if that happens.
I mean, okay.
No, I'm not arguing with you. I think they both have some very young, talented teams. And the NBA, as we saw this year, things change quickly at the top. They can change very quickly. So we'll see. Here's one thing I want. Let me just.
Go.
The one point I want to make about Zion in NBA and fantasy NBA drafts. I try to be very conservative in the first 3 rounds and not make a reach or pick someone who could hurt me. I go safe in the first 3 rounds. So typically I'm not going to get Zion because he's too risky. The other thing that worries me about him is I didn't see a lot of Duke games, but I saw him sometimes being a little over aggressive and fouling when he like not making smart fouls. And I'm worried that sophisticated NBA players can get him into foul trouble. And he may not play that 32 to 34 minutes a lot because of foul trouble. That's my big concern with him on a game-to-game basis, more than injury. And we'll see how that plays out. Maybe it won't be the case, but I'm worried he's going to get – every so often he's going to get into foul trouble early, and that's going to take him out of his minute allotment. So – anyway, that's my take on Zion. Anything else on that before we go to the number 2 draft pick? Before I jump ahead, what are your thoughts?
No, it's all right. I just to touch on your foul trouble concern. Mm-hmm. I might share that a bit, but I see that the Pelicans have planned ahead, and they got Derek Favors to play mentor. And he has experience. I mean, he wasn't a great fantasy guy, but he's been around the block enough to know how to play smart in the paint. And it's that kind of mentorship that they're setting up, surrounding Zion with, and preparing him for a great future, in his career.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good. Derek Favors is a solid NBA player. Not a great fantasy, but a very good NBA player. All right, let's hop over to the number 2 guy. Not part of Summer League, Ja Morant. Preseason doesn't really start till the beginning of October. A lot of fantasy drafts happen before a lot of preseason games commence. How in the world do you evaluate him?
Well, that's tough, really. I'm inclined to hold back. I know that the Grizzlies really wanted him badly. They committed to him, trading away Mike Conley, et cetera, et cetera. They offloaded DeLon Wright. They're making space. They're really going young. They're pairing him with Tyus Jones, who they signed to a big deal, which the Wolves did not match. So we're going to see, I believe we're going to see some sort of timeshare situation between both guards. I think Jones is somebody who's in for a potentially good breakout season, depending on the minutes he gets. He's a good passer. He's, a smart defender. He's not really going to put up a lot of shots. Neither is he as athletic as Morant. So what I'm saying is both guards bring something different to the table. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Grizzlies, distribute their time. But in the end, given time, Morant will probably eat up more and more of those minutes. But from the get-go, I think we're going to see a lot of Tyus Jones. Are you high on Tyus Jones coming into the season?
Oh, gosh. That's going to be tough because I am if I knew he had the minutes guarantee. But I don't know what they're going to do. They clearly are not set up to win this year. And I don't think they care about winning. And so how much are they going to – I don't think they can play Morant. Maybe they can play them together. I don't think we'll see a lot of them on the court at the same time, though, at least not extended minutes.
Unlikely.
Yeah, they just don't seem to have a good fit out there. So – yeah, so
but Jones is not exactly an old guy. He's like 23, 24.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still he's still getting
both
better.
The future.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He's still on the. That's why I like him. It's just they just went ahead and picked the number 2 overall pick as a pure point guard. So it's really hard to say if I can trust either one because of that. I don't like guys that only play 24 to 26 minutes unless they're like a high-volume specialist or a shot blocker, a big rebounder. So both those guys might be overvalued. I would definitely take a swing at them if they both were. If Tyus Jones were to fall like to the 10th round, I would, but I don't think he's going to fall that far. You think you might end up with either of those guys?
Jones, maybe after the 10th round, also similar to you.
You think he'll last that long though? I'm worried he's going to get overvalued.
I don't think so. Actually, I think most people are in the same boat as us and are concerned about the Morant timeshare issue. So that's going to weigh down his hype and steam coming into draft. So I'm reasonably optimistic that I'll be able to have a Jones or two in one of my redraft teams.
Yeah, I liked him. I mean, I had him on my team last year towards the end of the season. He was phenomenal, fantasy-wise at least. Didn't get to see him play a lot of games, but he put up a lot of great fantasy stats. So I might take him at the end and then maybe ride him as long as he's out there. So
yeah. That's a fair point. But I just thought of something when you mentioned your concern about the lack of minutes and that you have a certain minutes minimum that's a sweet spot for you before a guy, garners fantasy appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was preparing for a lot of my drafts, and I, in fact, drafted him in that dynasty draft before he was traded. I took Jeremy Grant, who had an amazing breakout season for the Thunder last season. He was a solid 1-1-1 guy, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3. The Rasheed Wallace mold, so to speak, for the guys who've been playing this game long enough. I was high on him, but as you know, and as everybody knows by now, the Nuggets traded for him on the cheap, actually. Now, I'm concerned they still have Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap will still probably start. But the guy is as old as the Egyptian pyramids. And, he's probably going to be, fading. And I assume he's going to be fading because his minutes have been trending downward. pretty much like the world economy. So, but Jeremy Grant is something to be hopeful for, you know, like, and I don't know. Would you take Jeremy Grant next season? Are you concerned with Paul Millsap? I am. I picked him under the assumption that he was gonna, do a rerun of his, Oklahoma City Thunder days from last season. But now, a lot of my excitement has been doused by that trade.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I think he got a great pick if he would play for the Thunder. I think he would have had a much more prominent role. He's a very good defender. His stat set is just fine. I like him a lot. He's still getting better. But yeah, with Denver, I think he's going to be buried in the bench second unit. So I don't think he has any fantasy relevancy this year. At least if Paul Millsap is healthy. I'm sorry.
All right.
All right. I think he's going to have to get. He had 32 and a half minutes last year. I thought for the Thunder, I think that was a great pick for a Thunder player, but for a Denver player who likes to spread the minutes thin, except for Jokic, it's going to be tough for him to be relevant. At least the top 100. I think he's outside the top 100 next year.
Yeah, that's a hell of a burn. Damn it!
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't believe you guys drafted before free agency. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're savages.
Exactly. All right. Should we hop along to RJ Barrett? Have you seen? Is this guy out there in summer league? That's how ignorant I am.
He was.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here's some interesting bits of chat in our group messaging chat app that we use while the long draft. It was a extended draft that we did, and there were comments that RJ Barrett might actually be a bust after shooting poorly in his first game and so on and so forth. Then the guy who drafted Barrett goes, you know what? These are just 2 summer league games, and I'm not gonna base his rookie season outlook, nor should I base his career outlook on those 2 summer league games. And that's an interesting point. You shouldn't really base what the guy is going to do in the regular season on a couple of summer league games. He's promising, he's good, but he's got a lot of few bad things in his corner. First of all, he's with the New York Knicks. Second of all, Canadians don't really have a great statistical history to be proud of as far as fantasy basketball is concerned. Just look at Anthony Bennett and Andrew Wiggins. But, I think Barrett might finally break that curse and outdo both of those gentlemen. Maybe not right away in his rookie season, but he's somebody I can see as producing, 18-5-5 kind of thing in the right situation. Maybe when he's finally out of New York, he's going to blossom.
For this season, I think we'll see. I tend not to get rookies, but he's the one rookie I might target in the middle rounds.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You don't think he's going to get the keys? You don't think he's going to be the guy who does everything in New York?
I don't know. I consider New York a mess because I don't think they know what they're doing after signing all of those big men, big men and big men and big men.
Yes.
I don't know what they're doing. All I know is, yes, they love RJ. They're trying to make him the new face of the franchise. He's going to get a ton of minutes, all the minutes he can handle. I think efficiency will become a problem, similar to the case of what happened to Kevin Knox, who showed he can score as he did in Summer League. But when it came to the regular season, his efficiency was so poor that he actually hurt fantasy teams. So I have that worry when it comes to RJ Barrett, coming into redraft leagues.
Yeah, again, rookies, like you said, tend to get overvalued, so I probably won't end up with him. But he is of the first 3 picks, he may be the one that falls to a value I find acceptable. Who else do you want to get in here? All
right. Now, yes. The juicy stuff, okay?
Yes.
Everybody he's talked about these three guys,
Yeah.
To bits prior to the NBA draft. And now we get to, throw out some fantasy takes on a lot of the other rookies.
Yes.
Off the top, I'm going to enumerate a couple of crushes of mine, fantasy-wise. DeAndre Hunter. I think that the Hawks traded up for him for a reason, and that, to me, signals he's going to get a lot of minutes. From the research I've read, I think he's going to be a solid 3-and-D guy. They're basically hoping that he's going to be the guy that Taurean Prince was supposed to be but couldn't live up to.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be a little bit more efficient as far as his field goal percentage is concerned, but he's a nice, spot-up three-point shooter. He's a solid defender because of his, length and whatnot. It's just that not all of his defensive abilities pop on paper. There are, he might not record 1 steal, 1 block per game in his rookie season, but his presence will be felt. That's for sure. So I'm kind of excited on him. And I actually drafted him in that aforementioned Dynasty League. I'm also kind of excited, and probably one of the most exciting highlight reels I've seen on Twitter and on YouTube so far of the Summer League is Jackson Hayes of the Pelicans. I think it was against the Bulls. I forget against who, but he totally posterized someone. It's like the guy was kissing Hayes' knee as Hayes elevated for a dunk and just, slammed it home. He's an interesting big man to watch. It's just that, he's playing behind Zion in favor, so he might not get a ton of minutes from the get-go. But if you need a block specialist late in drafts, I'd consider Hayes. He's a solid rim protector from what I've read. And the biggest issue about him is that aside from blocks and dunks, there's very little he can do. He runs the floor, he blocks, he dunks, and that's Jackson Hayes. He's going to need to improve on rounding out his game a lot more before he can become, fantasy relevant on a consistent basis. But he's got, we're obviously fans of defensive stats, given how rare they are in fantasy. So he's somebody to consider late in drafts for blocks.
Yeah, that's good to know. I don't know much about him, except that he might get some opportunity. Like you said, he's in that. He's stuck there a little bit, but again, the Pelicans, they're probably going to play a pretty heavy rotation of players. So we'll see how many minutes he gets. How about my Chicago Bulls, Kobe White? What do you think about him? He might be the starting point guard this year for the Bulls. I'm starting to get a little excited about that. What do you think about him? Have you seen him?
You're my Bulls fan, buddy. Now I remember. Yes. All right. Kobe White had a mixed bag. The guy throws a ton of turnovers. It's so scary. He might average 4 a game, which probably will be capped because he's going to be sharing the floor time at point guard with Satoransky. So I think he's in a similar spot as Morant in the sense that Satoransky is going to share his time the same way that Jones is sharing Morant's time, which actually is a plus because during those sets of plays or strings of plays that Kobe is going to be, causing too many turnovers, the coach is obviously going to sit him down, let a more experienced guy in Satoransky settle down the offense and get the flow going the way it's supposed to. So he's going to be okay, but field goal percentage, turnovers are a definite concern. But I like the guy. He clearly has good court vision, and it's something that's promising for his future. I don't think I'd touch him in standard league drafts, though, because of those aforementioned details.
Yeah, you're right. Satoransky is there, and I kind of forgot that they picked him up. Hopefully that's just a mentorship, and Kobe White will take over. I'm not a big Satoransky fan, fantasy or reality-wise. I think he's competent, but I don't think he's someone who could run a a very good offense. From what I've seen, obviously he's a player who's still improving himself, so he could get better. But so far, I haven't seen that in his game. Yeah, so maybe I should pump the brakes on Kobe White. You're right. He might be brought slowly along, at least more slowly along than I would like to see.
While we're on the topic of your Bulls,
Yes.
I've renewed my crush on Otto Porter.
Oh, yes.
I drafted Otto Porter in a recent ongoing slow draft again for fantasy. Yes, I need help, but seriously, I did a lot of research and I was comparing the Chicago Bulls Otto Porter to the Wizards Otto Porter, and it's almost a different player. He's a lot more confident. He's got a better feel for the game, and I think after watching some footage, the guy's really excited to be with the Bulls. And the way he was playing towards the end of last season, post trade, the guy's ready to rock again. And I think, given the fact that he was a guy who could flirt easily with top 25 value, he could be somebody who's in for a bounce back season with all of these muddled per game numbers from the past season being skewed towards his Wizards, being pulled down by his time with the Wizards, because not everyone breaks that down. So I just want to put it out there that I'm pretty high on Otto Porter again, and I think he's going to be an underrated player, and I think that he's going to do well. I'm excited about him.
Yeah, Otto Porter is one of those players that can be the third or fourth option on a team and still be fantasy relevant. We saw that in Washington. We're going to see that here again in Chicago. They got other players who want the ball, but Otto Porter will find a way to be very fantasy relevant, especially in 9-category leagues where he's such a low turnover guy. So yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be, and he's still a player I think that's getting better. I don't think he's hit his peak yet. So I'm all down for Otto Porter. Getting back to the rookies, anyone else here you want to touch on? Either from Summer League or from your Dynasty draft?
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Summer League research so far, outlook has been good for Daniel Gafford of the Bulls. He's had a couple of 2010 games in Summer League. Yes, I know, Summer League in quotes, et cetera, but the guy's solid. The guy can defend quite well. He's active on the glass, and it's basically showing me that he has the habits of a good big man that a coach would like. So even though he's going to be playing, probably going to be battling Luke Cornett for backup center minutes behind Wendell Carter Jr., but Gafford is a solid big man who has a bright future ahead of him, whether it's going to be with the Bulls or not.
I want to throw a curveball in here, if I can, for a second.
Shoot.
All right. Let's go to – you talked about Denver before. This guy's technically maybe a rookie, even though he was drafted a year earlier by NBA standards. Michael Porter Jr. Any thoughts on his ability this year?
All right. I think he's good as a late-round guy.
Yeah.
He's interesting from that standpoint because I've seen Will Barton fade a bit last season, and he was previously, well, he could still be, but he's the incumbent starting small forward. Now, I don't think Porter will start ahead of Barton from the get-go, but Porter is somebody who could really light it up eventually. He's somebody who can be a 20 points a game scorer. And just looking at the injury-prone history of Gary Harris, who used to be the second scoring option before Jamal Murray, blossomed last year, we could be looking at Porter having a good career with Denver. They were really committed to taking care of him and making sure that he recovered well and really see him as a part of their future plans. So I think he might be somebody to watch post All-Star. I think he might have a nice little bump in production there. But I don't see the need to rush out and be aggressive, because the type of thing that he'll do, which is basically score, and peripherals are still a question mark as far as I'm concerned, is something you can basically find earlier in drafts and won't need to look for later. But I like the guy in general.
Yeah, me too. And that's that's kind of the conundrum of when you know a guy has potential, but you probably won't see that potential for any time in the first few months of the season, unless there's a shakeup in that starting lineup, like you said, and he kind of just is so good they have to play him, which is usually not the case with guys first stepping on the NBA court. I think he might be really solid second half of the season, but I can't just hold on to him until then. So, and that's the big if. Who knows how good he's going to be? It's just sort of a gut feeling I have from what I've read and from what I've heard out in Denver. So I probably will pass on him. Like you said, there's probably no reason to get him early. He may not be fantasy relevant for a while, but I think eventually he will be this season. And I just have to time it right, I guess. All right, we got a little more time left. What are your other thoughts, or what other players do you want to talk about, or anything you want to talk about?
All right, I guess it's a little bit. We're hitting the brain picking part of the podcast.
Yes.
One guy I'm intrigued about, and I know a lot of people have been down on him because of how bad he's been for the last few seasons. And that's Isaiah Thomas.
Oh my God, Isaiah Thomas! You're gonna think he's gonna resurrect himself.
All right, let's break it down.
Yes,
he's odds are the starter, and he's competing with Ish Smith for point guard minutes. I repeat, Ish Smith. All right. Obviously, the ball will be in the hands of Bradley Beal for most everything. But from what I've read, I think it was unfair that expectations were given on Thomas last season, given his situation with the Nuggets. Obviously, there was no chance for him to really shine. But now that he's another season removed from his injury, and he has a good opportunity to show that he can do stuff or still play well, for that matter, I think that, he has some bounce back potential. To qualify that, I'm not telling people that he's going to be the Boston Isaiah Thomas. Either that ship has sailed, but he's been so forgotten over the last few seasons that he's somebody who I would recommend and be willing to gamble on as a last pick flyer kind of guy. What the heck? If you don't pan out, I'm going to drop you anyway for a hot free agent, etc. But, he has some bounce back potential.
I actually completely agree with you.
Okay.
Yes, I think he has bounce back potential. I thought I didn't know where you're going to value him, because here's the thing: in my draft leagues, I'm going to be dropping most likely 3 or 4 of my bottom half picks. They're just not going to pan out, or there's going to be free agents that are better. So once I get past round 10 or 11, I'm just going for flyers, and Isaiah Thomas is a great flyer. So I'm right there with you. If he's there in round 12 in a 13-round draft, that's what my typical draft is in 12 teams. I'm going to take him. I'll take him in the 12th round.
All right.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Anything else?
No, that's it. I just like to throw before we wind down the show.
Yes.
And since we've been talking about rookies, summer league, and whatnot, and in my experience from my research, I'd probably like to throw out my sneaky rookie pick as far as potentially being NBA ready, but is under the radar. And
you sure you want to share this to the entire world?
Well, that's what we're here for.
So, fair enough.
But I really like Brandon Clark of the Memphis Grizzlies. He is, I think, a little bit more mature than the average rookie in his class. He has an NBA ready body and an NBA and fantasy friendly stat set. He is a 3 and D stretch 4 kind of guy. And if he wasn't playing behind Jaren Jackson Jr., he'd be a stud in fantasy from the get-go. That's what I figured. But obviously his upside is going to be capped by JJJ. But his numbers will be there. And he's somebody I'm going to look at towards the end of drafts if I'm looking for somebody who has the potential to give me 5.5, maybe 6 boards, maybe a steal, a block, and a 3 per game at solid shooting percentages. Somebody with a within top 100 kind of upside given minutes. I'm sure his production per minute or per 36 minutes, is going to be good. And I think he's going to fly under the radar in most drafts, but I think he's going to be solid.
That's a good one to know because that team, like we mentioned earlier, is rebuilding. Rookies tend to get more minutes when teams, at least these I would say, tier 1 rookies, the top of the class, get more minutes when a team is okay with developing the player over the winning now mentality. So, yeah, I haven't seen him play. I don't know much about him. Thank you for bringing him to my attention.
Must watch.
Yes, must watch. I wanted to actually bring up one more guy, if we can.
Sure.
That's because the Cavaliers, not known for the best management, after drafting Colin Sexton last year, they want Darius Garland this year, which tells me they're not completely sold on Sexton as the future of the franchise. Do you see this as a minute share too, or what do you think might happen there?
From what I read, they're open to playing both guards together on the court, so there might not be as much competition as you fear.
Okay.
And they bring a different stat set to the table because Garland is a very good outside shooter, while Sexton is not. Sexton still has to work a lot on his defense. Garland is a solid scorer. And, he, I think, is worth starting and playing because he can stretch the floor. He can shoot the 3. And he has a nice outlook, both career-wise and rookie. I'm just not sure where to place him just yet because we haven't seen him, but I'm optimistic that he might be a nice surprise for us in the season, and if ever he was not picked in a standard league draft, people might go picking him up at some point early in December.
Yeah, he's another guy I would take it as a late round flyer. I have to see him preseason first, but I think he might have fantasy upside this year. We'll see. Erik, thanks so much for coming on. I got you at the very last minute. I apologize. I'm a very poor planner, but I appreciate your willingness, your dedication to the team at Hoopball. It's unparalleled.
Well, thank you, Neil. Thank you for having me. Yeah. I appreciate that, and
yes.
I enjoy doing the show with you every now and then. Hopefully, over the summer, we're gonna get more opportunities to, I'll get more opportunities to co-host it with you.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Neil and I were on the same shift on the Fantasy NBA Tonight premium offering over at Hoopball. It's what we were offering our premium subscribers, and Neil and I were co-hosts, and we pretty much spent most of the season in interesting analysis and banter. And I'm looking forward to be able to continue that a bit throughout the summer.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing this every Thursday. I'm trying to rotate different hosts, and it's been harder than I thought to find newbies to want to pop on. So that's really the only reason I don't have a single co-host. But I like to talk to different people too. I like different perspectives. I really respect your opinion. So thanks again for coming on. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, we are sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. This and every Hoop Ball podcast is sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. You can find their wonderful coffee products at hawaiianisles.com or on amazon.com. Erik, thanks again for joining me. Tomorrow, Coach and Adrian Benjamins will be talking, I'm sure, about something interesting. So tune in with them and enjoy Summer League, everyone. Have a good day.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.